guys, it's Gabby, and it's that time of week again. Shadowhunters Season 2, Episode 3, Parabatai Lost has aired, and I'm here to discuss it with you guys, so let's get right into it. This episode for me has to be hands down my favorite episode of Shadowhunters so far. I feel like I didn't have any genuine problems with this episode because it was just well constructed. The acting, the dialogue, the plot, and the pacing just all seem to be really well improved and really well put together in this episode. And I went back, watched it a second time, took notes, paused, and just really analyzed the episode, and I didn't have a lot of major comments or criticisms that were negative, and that was something that completely and entirely surprised me because that's what I'm used to with this show, is lots of mess and problems and confusion, and this was an episode that was just genuinely well put together and very, very much improved compared to what we've seen from past episodes, and I really hope that we can stay at this level with future episodes, and this is exactly what I wanted to see from Season 1, and this was the perfect send-off for our old writers. This is the last episode for them before we transition into new writers next week, and I really hope that we're able to get more episodes like this, that the new writers are able to stay at the same level, and that we are able to get more well put together episodes that make the reviewing process a lot more fun because I can enjoy watching these episodes and get excited about discussing them instead of having to completely and entirely tear them apart and get frustrated that things aren't well put together. And I just had so much fun watching this episode. I'm really excited to discuss it with you guys, so I'm going to get right into the spoiler section for this video. So if you have not watched this episode yet, go and watch it, and then you can come back and we can discuss together. But that being said, I'm going to say goodbye to the non-spoiler people, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode. So we have what is by far my favorite opening scene from Shadowhunters so far, and it's this flashback to younger Jace and younger Alec in the moment that they first meet. And Alec is shooting a bow and arrow at a target, and he keeps missing, his aim is off. Jace comes in, immediately starts critiquing Alec on his aim, picks up a knife, nails it perfectly at the bullseye. Alec makes this comment about, "I get enough crap from my parents, I don't need it from you," and it just, that whole scene was so cute. The child actors were perfect, and the scene just really depicted the characters and how they would behave in the books, specifically, you know, in that age range, and it felt so much like the books, so much like the characters, and it was just so well put together, and I was so happy with it. Personally, for me, I feel like once we see the teen actors and get into some of their flashbacks, their acting is slightly cringy, but I was willing to ignore that because the writing and the dialogue for these flashback scenes was so good and just fit the characters so well. We get to see Jace and his cockiness and his arrogantness, and we get to see Alec and how he's a little bit more of the sidekick, but he's the one that does all the work, and we get to see Izzy and her relationship with Alec. It just was all so well put together and so emotional and so beautiful, and it just made the ending that much more impactful, and it was so good, so well placed, and I was so happy with it. We have the Animus Parabatai thing, which, as you guys know, I was not happy with. I didn't think it was necessary, but the one thing that I will say that I appreciate in this episode is that we get explanation of it and that we have repercussions and consequences for this new thing that we've introduced. And that's super important because I feel like the writers have not done that yet up until this point. They've just created things as a plot device, and that's it. No explanation, no rhyme or reason, whatever. And we're getting some explanation behind this, that when this happens, that there's consequences, and that now, in order to fix this, we need the other half of our Parabatai, we need that other half of our soul, that there's something there, some explanation, something that we're going off of, rather than just creating this whole magic system as a plot device and then ignoring it. And that made me happy that we're seeing it explained, because if we had done that with everything else, I would have been very, very happy. We have this scene with Jace. He washes up on the beach, he's been separated from Clary, and he goes over to Gretel, who is this werewolf that we killed in last week's episode. And we have this woman who is jogging on the beach. She sees Jace leaning over the body, and she screams, "Call the police! Call 911!" And Jace immediately runs away, and why? I felt the acting was really cringy. Like, I got it, that was our cue to bring Luke and Alaric in so that they could find Gretel, and we could get the whole pack against Jace, and that's how we could do the plot. Just, there's several ways you could have gone about doing that and have it not be as cringeworthy. Through this plot line, we get to meet Maya, and I love the actress that casted as Maya. I feel like she fits her in so many different aspects. Not only the look but the feel, and she just pops right into the character and perfectly plays her, and it was just so refreshing to see because you can tell that she has this kindness and that when we first see her, she offers Jace a drink and a phone on the house. She's super kind to him, and then she finds out about his involvement with Gretel, and she immediately becomes loyal to her pack and to her friend and to that family that she supports, and that's just so Maya-like, and I just was so happy with how her character was depicted in this episode. Her dialogue was great, the way that she looked, like her costuming and everything was awesome. I was so in love with her character. I really hope that we get to see more from her this season and that we give her a good plot line because she has a really interesting plot line in the books, and I hope we get to explore that because her character is just really fun, and I would really love to see more from her because the actress who plays her is phenomenal. We have another moment that's kind of cringeworthy and ridiculous where Jace gets into this bar fight. We throw him through a window. Second time we've done that, but okay. And then he's bleeding everywhere and he crawls out of this alleyway and immediately some guy comes and runs up to him and is like, call 911. And in this next scene we have Jace rushing into a hospital on a gurney. Why? I just felt it was weird and unnecessary, and I felt like the only reason that we constructed this whole scene was so that we could get this comment that Jace's blood isn't normal and that there's something weird about it and that it's not human. And as somebody who's read the books, I know exactly what they're hinting at. I feel like if you haven't read the books, you wouldn't catch that, and so I thought it was a little bit weird and a little bit strange to be putting that in. Okay, but I feel like too early to hint at those things, and that if you haven't read the books, you're not going to catch that. We have these moments between Jace and Jocelyn, and Jocelyn wants to help Jace. She pretty much has effed over everybody, and we see that in this conversation that she has with Magnus. He like slams the door on her with his magic, and he's like, you have effed over everybody, and that's genuinely true. Like, she effed over Clary, Alec, Jace. Like, she's not helpful. Nobody likes her at this point. She's trying to fix the mistakes that she made, and she comes to Jace. She wants to help him. Jace wants nothing to do with her. Genuine reactions that they're having to each other. It felt genuine to the books, and I was happy with that because Jace wants to have nothing to do with Jocelyn in the books. And there's this moment where Jocelyn refers to Jace as Jonathan, and he immediately says, it's Jace, my name is Jace. And I was waiting for that line since the beginning of the season. We finally got it, and I was just so overjoyed because I really wanted to see that, because that's something that we repeat throughout the course of these books, is every time that Jace is referred to as Jonathan, he says, my name is Jace. He makes some comment about his name being Jace, and that is just so true to his character, so true to the books, and I loved it so much, and I'm really glad that we got that scene in that line, and just, oh, made me so happy. So we get to Simon and his plot line with his mother, and basically the last time we see Simon's mother is in the final stages of Simon becoming a vampire, middle of the first season, and then we never see her again. And so we're catching up with her now finally, and she's wondering where he is. Simon goes to look for her while Raphael is badgering him about wanting Simon to find Camille because Simon is Camille's sire and he needs to be the one to do it, but Simon's more concerned with his family, and so he goes to find his mother. His mother is not there. She started drinking again. Clary helps track Simon. We finally find Simon's mother, and we have this conversation about whether we're going to tell Simon's mother the truth or not, and we have this really great line from Simon about coming out of the coffin, and it was so funny. I genuinely laughed. I thought it was great. I thought that it was perfectly timed, and I loved the whole relationship between Clary and Simon in this episode. It felt so genuine and so real, and just, it was so good. I want to quickly comment that in the show, sometimes the relationships can feel forced, and it can feel like we're baiting the audience with like, here's stuff from the ships, and we kind of have that a little bit in this weird kiss between Magnus and Alec in the end of the episode where Magnus goes to kiss Alec and he's kind of laying there in this like comatose state, and it was kind of weird, and it felt like we were just doing that because we know the audience likes Malik, and it's stuff like that that we need to stay away from and have more of the genuine relationships like Simon and Clary and Izzy, because those are genuine friendships and they just flow nicely, and we're just kind of following them and letting them see where they go instead of having to force stuff, kind of like we did with Magnus and Alec and with Clary and Jace. So I think that that's important that we kind of find that that distinction because it'll help as we get later on into the plot and later on into the show, because you'll be able to enjoy the characters in those moments when they finally reach that moment where they are able to successfully accomplish a relationship and it doesn't feel like it's forced. It'll feel more genuine for the audience because they'll be able to finally appreciate that, and for the characters because they'll finally be able to get that moment. It'll feel more satisfactory. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Simon's mother is gonna get turned by Raphael. I don't know why I got that impression. It just felt like Raphael kept hinting at that, and I could see the Shadowhunters writers just deciding like, WTF, let's do it. But there were lots of great dialogue and conversation between Simon and Raphael. I think that they have such a great combination, and I kind of get this Abbott and Costello impression from them, where Simon's really funny and he's more of like the wise guy, and Raphael is more like straightforward and serious, and he's the straight man. I love their relationship, and it mixes so well. We get this comment from Simon about Raphael. His mother asks about Raphael, and Simon responds with, yeah, he sucks. And it was like the vampire humor. It was funny. I appreciated it. I don't know if anybody caught that, but it was good, and I laughed. I don't even know if that was intentional, but it was good. It was good. I appreciated it. I'm excited to see where that plot line goes, see if Simon's mother gets turned, see how right I am about that, because I'm getting that impression. We have this final scene, and we finally have gotten Jace to Alec. He's pretty much on his deathbed. We're losing him, and you know he's not gonna die. Jace comes over to Alec, and he starts to say the Parabatai Oath, and we have this flashing between present day and this flashback to the Parabatai ceremony between Jace and Alec when they were teenagers, and it was just so emotional and so beautiful and so well put together, and I enjoyed it so much. And yes, there were problems with the Parabatai ceremony. It wasn't like the books. We didn't have the Silent Brothers there, and it wasn't like a whole big thing, but I was willing to forego that because this scene in its entirety is like anywhere from like 35 seconds to a minute long. It wasn't necessary to do like a full out thing for that short of a scene. I just appreciated it more for the elements of what it contributed to the storyline, that it was just really emotional and really beautiful. You know Alec's not gonna die. They're not gonna kill off a main character that soon. It was still just really beautiful. All the characters were getting really emotional. You could see all the actors were crying, and Dom's acting was fantastic. You could tell he was genuinely heartbroken and upset. And that moment when you have Alec awaken and he's within Jace's arms, it was just so beautiful because you could see that he was elated to just see his Parabatai in front of him. That's the first thing that he sees when he's been waiting for that, and it just, oh, it was so good. And I genuinely shed a few tears. Like, it was just beautiful, and I could feel it. Just all the actors portrayed it so well. It was so well written. The thing that I really appreciate about this scene is that we get like 10 seconds. Like, Alec is awake, 10 seconds, he hugs Jace, and then immediately here comes in Aldertree to go and arrest Jace and bring him to the City of Bones. And that felt so Cassie-like that she would do something like that, where she'd be like, we got 10 seconds, and then nope, I'm gonna take it away from you. This is from the whole sort of agreement that Izzy and Aldertree made, and so now Aldertree has brought Jace to the City of Bones, so we see him walked off, and that's where the episode ends. Overall, like I said, I was very, very happy with this episode. I'm excited to see where they take episode 4. We're getting some new writers. I'm excited to see where they take this episode. Hopefully we're staying at the same level. We have some concise plot lines and everything flows well, and we're able to make sense of everything. I just am so happy with all of the material that we got in this episode, and all of just the emotional moments and the comedy, and just, oh, it was all so good. I'm satisfied. I'm very, very satisfied. So that's pretty much it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you want to comment down below your favorite scene from this episode, let me know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week with another review. Bye!